Howdy folks, OzRanger here. Time for another Bang Splat chat. Now as promised, I'm going to be doing a ballistic gel test on the Nosler 70 grain Varmageddon. There's been a lot of talk recently about whether or not they're actually expanding properly or having failure to expand, because a few people have noticed a 1-inch exit hole in some of the varmints they've been shooting. I'm going to answer the question with a couple of different sizes of ballistic gel. I'm also going to put them up against the Speer TNT 70 grain, the 55 grain Nosler Varmageddon, and the 70 grain purple tip Spitzer from Nosler, the Nosler Varmint. I'm going to be doing a bit of a subjective comparison to the 65 grain Hornady VMAX. A lot of these guns, bullets are going to be shot out of the 6mm 06, some out of the 243, different size gel blocks. Going to be really interesting. Now this is just 10% ballistic gel. I made it in my mother's kitchen because it stinks, and what a son's for other than to make mothers pull their hair out. Absolutely love it. But let's get to it. Now there's Dennis, who's been a great sport. He's helped me out all week doing these videos. Big shout out to Dennis. Had a wonderful time. First up, the 70 grain Speer TNT at 4,000 feet per second in a 1 in 14 twist. That gel block's about 12 to 14 inches long, about 8 inches wide and 6 inches high. Well, that was pretty impressive. Gotta be honest, that extra 500 feet per second does some serious damage, but this also gave me the best shot of the week. Look at that. Did you see it? I'll slow it down even more. The hydrostatic shock produced by the Speer TNT is second to none. It's quite often an overlooked little pill because it is a simple hollow point, but holy damn are they accurate, and look at that. That is absolutely devastating. That is my favorite picture of the week. Didn't manage to catch if the base of the bullet is passing through on that particular image, but we will get to that later. Very interesting. Here's what's left over. This is the carnage. Couldn't really extrapolate much out of that except for whatever that thing hit just got blown to bits. Those gel blocks were meant to, the reason I made them small in the first place was to try to replicate the average chest wall up to maybe a small pig. Most of your common varmints like bunnies and roos and dogs and cats and things like that. It's I thought it was a pretty fair test of the sort of damage that would be done by those projectiles. And as you can see, it didn't fail to. Sorry, as you can see, it didn't disappoint. Nosler 70 grain. Right, next, the 70 grain Nosler Varmageddon. Also traveling 4,000 feet per second, so it's a fair test. Same block size, same shooting distance. Let's see what happens. Carnage. Well, that's impressive. But if we watch in slow motion right here, you will see the base of the bullet pass through the gel block before it gets blown into a million pieces. I will show another picture, a still frame of that base, that bullet getting through. If you missed it, just rewind and play it back frame by frame, and you will see that gas trail present itself. Test number 3. But clearly that 70 grain Nosler Varmageddon did expand really quickly and do a great job.
Holy shit.
Next up, the 70 grain purple tip Spitzer.
Well, this will be the varmint.
Also from Nosler. Great bullet, bow tail, and we'll go into some pretty cool features of it shortly. Boom! Look at that huge chunk fly off to the right there. But watch this. Look at that gas trail from the base of that bullet punch through that gel block. Absolutely definitive evidence that there is a big chunk of the base of that bullet flying through there. Still doing obviously considerable damage on the way through, but hey, it's still expanding and it's still doing a great job in that first 12 inches of chest cavity, or varmint cavity, however you want to measure it. Now Dennis is just walking off here, being the good sport that he is, to measure the distance that a large chunk of ballistic gel fell away from the impact point. I'm just going to follow him for scientific purposes. just to double check his paces are well within tolerance of the metric system, because we all know if it was the imperial system, we couldn't just couldn't take it seriously. 17 meters. Well, 17 meters. That is impressive. Alright, let's get the 243 out. It's a Parker Hale, bit of an oldie, but golden oldie. Spear TNT at average 243 velocity. Watch this. Boom, gas trail. Carnage. That Spear TNT is doing a great job. It's not only causing catastrophic damage in the first 12 inches of gel block, but the base of that bullet's still getting through, so if it has to get through something a bit bigger, like a deer or something like that, hey, this bullet is multi-purpose. Dropped, and look, just to be honest guys, I've dropped plenty of deer with a TNT. It is a fantastic round. That TNT... Now if you look closely, you'll see that the projectile entered the ballistic gel for about an inch and a half before blowing itself to absolute bits. Massive, obviously, permanent wound cavity. Probably the majority of it is in the first 6 to 8 inches. But it continued right through as the base of the bullet passed through there. Good solid hit, dead in the center, and as you can see, not much is going to get up from that. That is a pretty good size wound cavity, and most of the damage is done within that first sort of 6 to 8 inches, which is great for varmints, dogs, cats, roos, you name it. Even, you know, like even a small, well, a decent sized pig, that's going to cause it all manners of insta death or insta kill. Should be dead right there. Or DRT if you're an American, which is awesome. Right, back to the 70 grain nozzle of Armageddon, bullet in question. Bigger block this time, 20 inches long, a bit wider, but check this out. If you missed it, I'm going to slow it down, but we caught the base of the bullet in this gel block. You will see it stop about 16 to 18 inches into the block. Did you see it? Watch it again in slow motion if you need to. But as you can see, the first third of that block just got decimated, absolutely blown to bits. That block is now slightly over 8 kilos, and it just got smacked fair on its butt. But watch here, this is the 120 frame per second, a bit better for catching it. There it is. Stops about 3 inches shy of the back of the block. Carnage. So we flipped it around to get a quick shot before it all melted with the 70 grain nozzle of varmint, and as you'll see, the base of the bullet actually gets through on this one. Now that could be because the block was already compromised, but the damage it's doing looks like it's significantly more. The cavity is deeper, travels for longer, the base of the bullet gets right through it. I think the construction might be a little bit tougher, but still the first half of that block just got absolutely blown to bits. I gotta be honest, the Varmageddon produced some of the most impressive kills of the entire week. And I should say that, which I'll go into later, that everything we shot with it had a base pass through with the nozzle of varmint, the purple tip spit. This was the 243 70 grain TNT. Hit a little bit on the low side, but was pretty good. Bullet didn't pass through, but that's an 8 kilo block getting thrown up into the air. Look at it go. It's insane. Huge permanent wound channel. Huge amount of force just directly imparted into that block. Just fantastic.
Awesome.
Here's me getting all excited about it.
You did. That's great.
I didn't really
Yeah,
want
it
to cut
didn't
this block
penetrate
open
through.
because we didn't have a lot of days left now. We've been spending a lot of
in there.
days hunting, chasing dogs and
Deep
stuff
in
like
there.
that, and
Didn't
chasing
penetrate
pigs, so
through.
I just wanted to shoot it again. We're going to shoot it from the other side now, but we were pretty happy that that bullet stopped about 2/3 of the way through that block.
So let's do the 55s. Happy? Alright, 55 grain.
And I have, just so you know, I have invested now in a flat table to mount this stuff. Cool, 55 grain nozzle of Armageddon. Well, check this out. At that velocity, that shot was just a little bit low sadly, but holy shit did it make that thing fly. Look at it go. That's just a 55 grain pill. And it is throwing that thing around like it just doesn't care. But even though it was on the low side, it still went probably just a bit low from center, and it blew a massive hole straight through the center of that thing. I didn't catch whether or not the base of the bullet got through or not, but we actually had a lot less pass-throughs on game with a 55 grain nozzle of Armageddon, much less than the 70 grain. The 55 grain of Armageddon actually performed insanely well in both accuracy and dead right there. It was just shit hot. Now the 243 with the 70 grain of Armageddon clearly performing just as well as all the others. Look at that. But as you notice, if you play it back in slow motion, the expansion started a little bit later maybe. Maybe 3 inches in, it's really started to kick off. A little bit slower, but hey mate, not the end of the world. Depends on what it hits obviously. If it hits fur and a little bit of bone or some hard muscle, it's going to do a bit better. So let's just review quickly. The Spear TNT produced some of the most epic wound channels of the week, some of the most brilliant ballistic gel destruction, and you know, it shot beautifully accurately in pretty much every rifle that we own, whether it's the 243, the 606 or the 243. It just kills stuff. Yes, it's a flat base, and it's often, like I said before, overlooked because it doesn't have a ballistic tip. But what you'll notice is the ballistic coefficients are generally very, very close for all of this stuff, and its price point, it just can't be beat. If you're doing some bulk shooting and you need to shoot something potentially on the heavier side, the 70 grain TNT, don't look past it. It'll kill everything from a deer down to a rabbit with relative ease. I mean, geez, look at that. Just boom. Fantastic. And you know what, guys? They're cheap in bulk packs. You get them in 750 or 1,000 round bulk packs. How good is that? In fact, actually, one thing I will say about the TNT as well is it got a huge proportion of dead right theirs. Now, the 70 grain nozzle of Armageddon, it did shoot beautifully accurately out of all the rifles we tested. Can't fault its accuracy at all. Some of its wounds and devastation throughout the week, you know, in autopsies and on ballistic gel. I mean, if you have a look at that, there is no denying those bullets are expanding, even in ballistic gel. I think we've pretty much successfully answered the question of are they expanding? You know, yes, they are. It's the base of the bullet that's punching a small hole out the back of your game, guys. All of that damage is being done internally. I think we've answered that question successfully now, so we can be confident that they're doing the job. I think some people do notice there may not be as massive destruction or dead right there. I just think they might be expanding a little bit slower than what you might expect. Maybe 2 inches or 2.5 inches before they really get going. That could be a function of the design of the tip, or the twist rate of your barrel perhaps. All of those things might come into it. But in terms of are they lethal, well, absolutely. Do they shoot well? Yeah, they do. Now the 70 grain varmint deserves a special mention. It's nearly double the price of the others. However, it seems to be the best of both worlds. It's insanely accurate. It has a boat tail if you're shooting out over 500, because under that you may as well just use the flat base bullets. They're going to be plenty accurate. But not only does it, see that whole block getting absolutely blown to bits right there that you can see is at least 12 to 14 inches long, and it's still punching a huge gas trail out the back from the base of the bullet passing through. These things are a good dual purpose round. They're great for bunnies and they're great for deer. They will get through into the bigger, thicker shit and do heaps and heaps of damage. You know, I think the purple tip varmint is not just for varmints. Actually, it's plenty accurate. It hits really hard, and it brings the smack down. Pretty much nothing even wiggled a little bit after getting shot with one of these all week. It's just a shame they're so expensive. If they were cheaper on bulk, I'd go for it. But they are a good round. There's another picture of the 243 with the Speer TNT. Good little gas trail escaping through there, and as you can see, just a huge permanent wound, a huge hydrostatic shock going on there, just blowing that thing to bits. I think the 55 grain nozzle of Armageddon deserve a special mention. If you are doing some varminting and you don't expect to come across anything bigger than maybe a large pig, then the 55 grainers are super flat, super fast, deadly as all shit, kill really effectively, and don't pass through as much. So really it depends on what you're looking for in terms of value for money. If you're expecting to come across larger stuff and you want to bring some smackdown, the 70 grain TNT for us did perform better than the 70 grain nozzle of Armageddon. But again, it's going to be what shoots better in your rifle and your twist rate and all those sort of things. If you've got unlimited money, the 70 grain nozzle of varmint would be my go-to because it is just really, really good, as would the 65 grain Hornady VMAX, because they generally didn't ever leave the body of anything we shot. The 55 grain nozzle of Armageddon is great. I can't really fault it. I don't know why I didn't sort of score it higher in terms of the just general. This is all very subjective to me. Like, I put this little thing together and sort of took note out of 10 shots how many things died right there, and sort of put up a percentage and just try to keep some notes. And generally speaking, I'm pretty happy to shoot any of them. I think it's just going to come down for money for me, so I'm going to pretty much go to the 70 grain TNT and any of my 243s, or the 55 grain nozzle of Armageddon. And you know, because I'm shooting the 606, it's a custom round, so I'm going to be obviously putting the good stuff, which to me is the 70 grain nozzle of varmint. That's pretty much what I'm going to load up with it, and I'm just not shooting bunnies very much with it. But guys, I hope this has been helpful. I hope this answered that question about the nozzle of Armageddons. I mean, shit, they do work, and they do blow things to bits, there is no doubt. I think the Speer TNT are a little bit more aggressive. If you need that potential bit of extra penetration from the base of a bullet getting through, maybe the Varmageddons are perfect for you. But, you know, step out your overall lengths, get a couple of boxes of 100 and try them out and test it for yourself. But at least now you've seen the relative damage that they're doing, how they're performing. Some are obviously driving deeper than others, but guys, I hope that's been helpful. If you like this video, if it's sort of pushed you in a direction that you wanted to go in, that's awesome. You know, if you're going to be using a 243 for everything, the 55 grain nozzle of Armageddon is great, you know, for anything up to maybe big deer. So guys, like and subscribe. Love your work. See you at the next video. OzRanger out. Just light to the left a bit. Yeah. Holy shit, look at the fur.
Good night.
Look at the fur. Holy